And we're live. Hi, guys. Welcome back to AFTV. I'm here with Turkish. We're here to chat about tomorrow's game. We felt after all the Champions League nonsense was kind of out the way, all that kind of drab, we'd take time to chat about the real competition. Turkish, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just watched that game there and I thought, yeah. Let's wait for the elite competition tomorrow.
Yeah, elite music, elite players, everything about it's better.
Trust
Um,
me.
no, but let's touch on that very quickly. That was some quality on show, isn't there?
Yeah. PSG just didn't take their chances, They just didn't take their chances and they had much of the better first half for sure. But,
Yeah. I,
Pep.
I agree. Felt like either team like had each half to win it. PSG will look back and think we should have really buried that in the first half, and City will be thinking in the second. Um, but yeah, it was a good tie, and it did sort of, all the joking aside, it did make me long for not just Champions League football, but when we were at a level we could actually compete in it. Um,
I
anyway,
know.
look, we're live,
I
guys.
miss the music. I can't lie to you. I miss the music.
Yeah, do you know? But you know what, right? By the way, I've no intention of staying in the Europa League any longer than I have to be. But the Europa League music ain't bad. I'll
Ah,
give it that.
don't,
It's not
don't,
bad. It's
nah,
quite catchy.
don't.
No?
Don't. No, don't.
Right.
Listen, I barely remember it. I just choose not to listen to it, man. When it's on, my eyes just go into a zone where I'm just remembering the great Champions League moments we did have. Even though we didn't win it, we had a few great moments in there. And yeah,
Yeah, very true. All right, guys. Well, look, we're live here for, I don't know, 45 minutes or whatever to chat to you guys about. Sorry, people are already in the comments saying, don't get used to it, James. Where is it? Here we go.
well, to be honest, we are kind of used to it now. What is it? 4 years in? Three,
Yeah,
4? Yeah.
I feel very used to it, and I'm not happy about that, but I am a
Mm.
little bit used to it. I've had to maybe I've just so many comments coming in. Someone says, "Yeah,
Man said this song slaps, Nah. I don't know about that.
this
I
is what I
don't
love
know about
about
that.
late streams. That everyone's just a little bit more like just say what they feel. It's good fun."
Yeah. To be honest, it gives people a chance across the world to tune in as well live because
Yeah,
when it's late here, it's early in some other areas in the world, which I like doing on my channel. So it's good that we're going later, a bit live a bit later now. Sorry.
yeah, absolutely spot on. So that's what we're here to do, guys. We're here to chat ahead of tomorrow. You guys have your say. Send in your comments. Send in your questions. I mean, yeah, try keep on tomorrow's game, but I'm sure it's going to be difficult with all the stuff to do with Daniel Ek and everything going on. So we'll chat about all things. But we did do the warm up today. Anyone who missed it, go have a little look at it after this stream because it was good fun. Look out for Gerard Monroe up front for Villarreal. It's a
Yeah,
proper
I've seen a
player.
few comments. Look, Will Monroe play tomorrow. I've seen a few comments already
No,
regarding
how am I missing these?
it.
Oh,
Charles, the comments just fly in. They just fly in. But yeah. Let's see. Let's see. I didn't know
people
they had a Monroe, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
the way you thought you must have just missed out a player. Like, who's this? I'm not as clued up on Spanish football as I thought. Who's this Monroe tearing it up
Yeah,
in La Liga?
I just started thinking to myself, I didn't do my due diligence before the show. Like, I must have missed something. I just thought Moreno and Chukwueze, that's it, we're in. But little did I know.
Little did you know, Monroe's come through.
Yeah, big up Cecil, man. Monroe.
Yeah, no, absolutely big up Cecil. I think he did the live stream on Instagram, so we're covering everything on all platforms. But yeah, we're here. We'll chat about Monroe. We'll chat about whoever. But after the warm up today, obviously, I think when you do the warm up show, you're taking everything, the press conference, the team news. There's a lot of info to take in. Obviously, we want to bring it to you guys as soon as possible. Has anything changed really since we did the show? Or are you still as well? I wouldn't say you were confident, but
Yeah.
as sure about maybe the potential outcome you're expecting?
Oh, listen, with this one, I can't be sure. I can't lie to you. With Slavia Prague, I was pretty sure would get the job done. It took us a tie to do it, but with this one, I'm not sure. That's why I'm sitting on the fence. On the Forever Arsenal podcast, I said 2-1. Today on the warm up, I said 2-2, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I think. Listen, Unai Emery knows us as well as Arteta. A lot of these players played under him,
Yeah,
and the season at Villareal, it started very well. I remember very, very early on, people were bringing out Emery's Villarreal record and them being top of the league. But the fortunes have changed over the second half of the season. And listen, we should get the job done, but the away leg is first. So
Yeah.
I just think even a draw would be a positive result, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really fun, isn't it? Because we look at when I look at the opposition numbers, you know, I like to just see how they're doing throughout the season. It's a quick way of just engaging how they're doing. Um, you look at Villareal's and you go, God, they're really poor. You know, like they're well, sorry, they're not really poor, but I think from maybe the standards expected of Villareal, the size of the club they are, you'd expect a little bit better. But they'll be saying the exact same thing about Arsenal.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, as much as we call some of the ties a blessing in disguise, you know, other clubs must look at it in the same way, because for them, they're playing a big name, a big brand, and all that, you know, and they can pull off a scalp against us for sure. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
Olympiacos last year, this year, it took us a couple of legs to get Slavia Prague done, Benfica done. Olympiacos, we did our job in the first leg, and that's what I need tomorrow. You know, I
Yeah.
want to relax up until the final. I want us to get the job done tomorrow. But like I said, 2-2 is just stuck in the back of my mind.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. Would you start Aubameyang tomorrow? Now, obviously, we sort of chatted about this a bit today on the warm up. Let's go on the assumption that he's fully fit and he's good to go. He's raring to go. Do you start him tomorrow?
Depends, because we've heard a few names that are, you know, in contention. So for me, I just feel like if I had the choice up front, I'd go with Laka. But the one player that, if there is any chance he's fit and ready, is Kieran Tierney for me,
Right.
because he's just the golfing class from him to the next in line at left back. Unless you're going to put Saka there, the quality goes down so much and it becomes a major issue. So I think Kieran Tierney for me is the big one out of the ones that are in contention for sure.
I think I agree. You know, if all four were fit, but I had to pick one, or let's say if I had to pick one to guarantee, you know, to have guaranteed ready, fully fit, 100% good to go for tomorrow, I think it would be Kieran Tierney, because of what he offers. And I kind of think we could kind of make it up as we went along in the forward positions, whether it's Martinelli up front or. Oh, do you know what? I'm surprised we've not seen Arteta try copy Guardiola's kind of no striker formation. You know, just play like Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka front three or something. So I think we could kind of make something up and get away with it there. Whereas at left back, it just feels, whether you go with Cedric, it feels imbalanced. You go with Xhaka, it feels like you're forcing a completely new system on the team. So yeah, I would personally go with Tierney if he's completely, you know, fit and available. I thought this was a really great comment from Herman. Says, with the season ending, don't you think it's sad that no one can predict the starting 11, not even courtesy injuries? Arteta doesn't know his best 11. I think that's a really good point.
It is. It is. It was a criticism of Emery as well at one point. So we can't, you know, we have to be fair and say the same thing here. You know, listen, I knew at the start of the season our squad wasn't good enough. You know, so I'm not surprised that we don't know our starting 11, because I always say, even though I think Arteta has made a lot of wrong choices throughout this season in terms of starting 11s, and his starting 11s caused a lot more, you know, controversy than they are praised this season. I think in all reality, even if you put the 11 I want out there, or we put the 11 you want out there, James or Herman or whoever else, none of them are guaranteed to win. None of them are guaranteed to perform. It's not guaranteed to work, because we just have a poor squad. So not knowing our starting 11, it's just a byproduct of that for me. You know, it's expected.
But that's such a good point, because, like, and it goes back to, I get a lot of criticism for being maybe a little bit too sympathetic to Mikel Arteta, and I get where that's coming from. Listen, I've said this all along, right? When people come up to me and they say, I want Arteta out. How do you not want Arteta out? I'm like, it's hard to argue with that. Like, I can't lie. Like, the season's been so disappointing. I find it difficult to argue, unless you want to sit down for half an hour and actually go through like details and whatever. No one's got time for that. But you make a really good point. Like, whether I'm happy with the 11 or not, and most of the time I'm not, to be honest. We rarely lose the game because of the starting 11. Yeah. You know, sometimes we do, of course we do. But my point is, we lost to Everton because Leno backheeled it in the back of his net. You know, we drew with Fulham because Gabriel lunged into a tackle, stepped on a guy's foot. Soft, but it happened. You know, it seems to be so many individual errors that are costing us that, like, I'm finding it hard to truly judge Arteta, even though I can see the football's not good, we're not creating enough chances. There's clearly a lot of problems, don't get me wrong, and I absolutely acknowledge all those. I just think first and foremost, like, let's just get the bloody basics right tomorrow night, guys. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, it's easy saying that, but how often this season have we got the basics right? That's the
No, but
thing,
that's exactly. But
you
that's
know.
it. We rarely get the basics right. I think from Boxing Day to kind of mid Feb, we were looking like actually a team who were getting the basics right, not conceding made chances, creating a lot at the other end, good balance in the team. Kieran Tierney was playing brilliant. I think he had a spell out around February. But yeah, we've missed that. What about here? Emolp says Odegaard, ESR, or both to start. Can't remember what you went with, Turkish.
I went with Tierney at left back, so that meant that for me, Emil Smith Rowe sits on the bench, and Saka and Pepe are either side of Odegaard. That would be ideal for me. But then, obviously, when you said it depends how fit Tierney is, and you're gonna go by what you know and the players that are fit. And I remember you put Saka as left back, and then Emil Smith Rowe at left wing with Pepe on the right and Odegaard in the middle. So if Tierney's fit, then for me, Emil Smith Rowe sits this one out and Odegaard starts. But if Tierney's not, then I'd go with what you said and put Saka at left back and Emil Smith Rowe starts on the left.
Yeah, yeah, I agree to that. I mean, to be honest, there's not too much I like actively disagree with. It's just when he does really wild things that I just think, where on earth has this come from? But I mean, to be fair, Arteta doesn't drop too many of those. Zubair, here's when we had the basics right, we looked like a proper top four side. Look, you know, football moves very quickly. You know, people sort of learn and forget things very quickly in football. And where I think Zubair's got a point here, I remember when we went on that run, and by run, I mean mini run. I know the
Yeah.
definition of run for you, Turkish, is much more than just 5 decent games. But I think we went on a run of like 10 Premier League games. We won 7, we drew 2, we lost 1. It was okay. It was decent for what we'd seen. Quite frankly, it's actually decent for what a lot of top four sides were putting up. And people were saying, wow, you know, Arsenal might put a late run together. Actually, they might find a bit of form. And we got ourselves within, I think, a point of Chelsea. And you thought, okay, this is starting to look a bit, you know, interesting. And you look at where Chelsea are now, where we aren't really, we should have kicked on and we didn't. So it just shows that there's something in this squad. You know, there's something in there, but it needs a lot of work. And Arteta needs to improve on a lot of things. But
The squad, short bursts of form, like you said, 5 to 10 games. It shows that there's something in there, but the reason there's no consistency there is because the mentality is not right. Their characters are not right. It's not the correct mix. You know, I'm not saying every single one of them, the type of character and mentality needs to get out of the club, and we need, you know, multiple Patrick Vieiras and Roy Keanes in there. You know, it's not
yeah,
about that, but you need a mix, and we don't have the right mix. So
yeah,
for me, 5, 10 games, maybe a trophy in FA Cup here or there, you know, it shows something. But
right.
if you don't have the leadership and mentality required, you won't build on it.
Yeah. You make a great point. You don't win the FA Cup, you know, beating City and Chelsea at Wembley without having something about you, right? You don't win 4 FA Cups in 7 years as a club without having something about you. Like, you make great points, but you know, we shouldn't be a club that have something about them. You know, there should be a little bit more to it, a little bit more substance and something more to it. But you know, hopefully that's something we address in the summer. Assuming we get to the finals, who do you prefer to play, Roma or Man United? This is from, I hope I pronounce this right, John Miloju. John Miloju.
Listen, in an ideal world, I'd love nothing more than to get to the final and beat United. Yeah, but this ain't an ideal world, and Arsenal are not an ideal club. I want Roma because I just can't take another final against an English club where
Yeah, I
we have the
agree.
potential to be embarrassed again. I just can't. I just can't do it. Like, I'm on the edge with Arsenal right now. If you go and do that with United, Chelsea's one thing, and I know Chelsea are London rivals, but growing up, United were our title rivals. You know, it
Yeah.
was different. So for me, just yeah, I want Roma. I hope Roma do it on that side of things. What about you?
I would Roma any day of the week. I'm with you. I really struggle with the whole Just United fans. Listen, some of my best friends are United fans. I love
Yeah,
them to bits, but I just the rivalry is so intense.
yeah.
It's fair. I mean, would you? I mean, there are biggest rivals behind Spurs. Is that
Who?
fair?
Well, United.
Yeah.
I'd say so. Obviously, the era I grew up in, it was us and them fighting it out. You know, the era I grew up in was Vieira versus Roy Keane and so on. So for me, yes, definitely. But I understand, obviously, Chelsea are London rivals, and in the last 10 years, they've kind of, them and Man City have probably been the most successful English clubs in the last 10 years. And that hurts
Yeah.
because they've got the Champions League, and at one point we was close to it, and they became the first, obviously, London club to do it, and that hurts. And yeah, and they have that in their back pocket to talk about when we talk about the Invincibles and so on. Historically, we have a lot more than them, but like I said, the last decade, it's not
You
like
know what
Tottenham,
though?
where even in the last decade, Tottenham haven't really closed the gap in terms of trophies. It's actually extended, and that's what makes history. But with Chelsea, it's like not only has the gap closed in terms of trophies, but they're still there. They're still fighting. They're still showing ambition. You
Yeah.
said we was a point behind them at one point. They changed their manager and flipped it round. Now they're 3 points in top four with 5 games to go. So
Yeah. No, it's
big
very
clubs
true.
do big
Do you know
things.
with
Yeah,
Chelsea, what makes it stomachable? And I'm going to use the word stomachable. Like it's not. It's not much better. It's just like I can somewhat live with it. Is you know, Abramovich is like winning the lottery, isn't he? He comes
yeah,
in and the injection of cash. It's very hard not to succeed on that. And the two clubs have really done it in this country, City and Chelsea, have had a wealth of success over the last decade because of that very model. So it kind of makes it like there's only so much you can do. So I can kind of somewhat stomach it. With United, I think there's always Arsenal United have always had a real tradition and history. Like they've won trophies, but they've been incredibly classy, like traditional football clubs as well.
yeah,
And I think there's something a little bit more there. I think we consider ourselves, look, I think Liverpool and Man United are the two biggest clubs in the country, but I consider us the third biggest. I consider us, if we were to get our act together, we'd be really knocking on that door. Unfortunately, we haven't for well over 15 years. So I think there's that as well. So look, Roma any day of the week. But Imran makes a great point here. Says, boys, deep it. We're two great games away from a European trophy and Champions League. We don't need to be great in one of the games versus Villareal. You could look at it that way.
Imran, my guy, you said deep it, yeah, but when you really deep it, yeah, we are also two great games away from potentially this owner saying we've made Champions League football with very little investment. Let me hang on to this club. That's actually deep in it. But I get what you're saying. At the same time, if you ignore that, we are a couple games away from a final and a potential trophy in one of our worst seasons known. So I don't know, man. You guys know me. I can't. The Cronkies don't leave my mind. Every time
Yeah.
I'm talking about Arsenal, they are somewhere in there. It's ready to come out. But I understand other fans, the team and the performances come first and matter more than anything. I understand that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, but I get the point. Despite everything that's gone on, it was the same
Yeah.
with last season. Despite everything that's gone on, we could end up with silverware, and that's mad to me. But let's get through Villarreal. Like I've not wanted to. I've not really said this too much on our previews and stuff, but I'm kind of confident. Oh, is confident the word? No, but I'm not nervous for tomorrow. I'm hopeful. I'm excited. Um, that doesn't mean I'm confident we'll go through. I'm just like, I kind of fancy us in a weird way. But for a final, I'd be very, very nervous if we face Man United. So I maybe am looking a little too far ahead because I think Villarreal will be tough. But a bit like the other rounds, despite being a bit negative sort of on streams about it, I do expect us to find a way. I do, because it's two-legged football. I do expect us to find a way in 180 minutes at some point. So it is kind of a final is within touching distance, and I'm with you. Let's go score 3 away tomorrow and get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easier
Imagine
said than
going to
done.
the final and then seeing one of the Cronkies there in the stands and winning it and him cheering like you fucking done something.
He wouldn't. To be fair, he wouldn't even know about it. I think Josh would. Genuinely, I think Josh would know about it and would in some way, shape, or form be around it and involved. I don't think Stan would have a clue what was going on.
Nah, he doesn't. He
Yeah.
doesn't.
No. We had a super chat from Bish Bosh, and it was about Martinelli. I'm so sorry. I had it there, but it disappeared. Not nothing I could do about that. But thank you very much for your super chat. Shout out to Bish Bosh. Just comment, and if you see it, we'll bring it up. Herman again says centre back pair against Villareal, Gabriel and Mari. I know this is something you want to see, Turkish. Emery has played with Holding and Louise. Knows their mistakes well to beat him tactically, surprise him. Actually, it's not a bad shout.
Yeah, listen, I've been calling for that all season, but I've been calling for Gabriel Mari all season, but it's just not going to happen, especially in our biggest game of the season. I don't see Arteta just flipping the script, so you've got to go with one mobile one, and I guess one of the ones that are. Well, with Mari, I'll definitely say a smarter defender. With Holding, I don't know so much, but I definitely know he's not mobile. So I'd probably do Holding and Gabriel or Mari and Chambers, something like that. If Arteta wants this right foot, left foot thing. In an ideal world, like I said, I'd go with those two, Mari and Gabriel, because I think Gabriel's mobile enough to be able to handle that right centre back position. But we haven't seen it, so we can't tell.
No, and that's the thing. And the way the centre back split, you feel, I feel, I sort of keep convincing myself that he's got to go with a right hand or left footer. It's kind of the only way it will work. But, he's played two right footers and it's worked. So, yeah, it shouldn't really be a problem. Hugo suggests we go back to a 3-4-3, which won us the FA Cup. Says centre backs aren't good enough to play in a back four. And then Hydra X says we need Mari. Composure at the back is key. We've got some super chats popping up, and I'll bring them up if I can just see them here. Matthew Thomas.
Oh, sorry, I don't know where the chat's gone. I was trying to find the name, but some people have no shame. We must have had a Tottenham fan in here saying North London is white. How many days after you lost the final? How many days has it been? And you've got the chest to come here and comment that.
Yeah, it's very true. Bish Bosh, here we are. You're back. Thank you, Bish. I said, if you were Martinelli, would you want to leave at the end of the season, providing Arteta would still be in charge for the next? Wow, that's a big question.
Listen, James, do you think Martinelli's unhappy with his situation, or do you think it's something that they've spoken about? The way Arteta is so confident with how he's been leaving out Martinelli, I just feel that they must have spoke about it.
Genuinely, right? I think he's fine. I actually think Martinelli's absolutely fine. I think he's been told he signed a new contract in the summer, a year after signing for the club. So clearly, he's had a pretty big pay rise quite quickly into a big move in which, let's be honest, no one expected too much of him. He played a lot of football in his first season, probably more than he expected. Then he suffered a really serious knee injury. And I think Arteta just said, look, Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Pepe, Laka, Aubameyang, we're doing all right in that area. Even, dare I say, Willian is an option and was doing, not great, but was doing okay back a few months ago. He's probably just said to him, we're not going to rush you. Knee injuries are serious. They can be really damaging long term. We're just not going to rush it. And I think it's fair to say, when Martinelli's played recently, he's been okay. He's been fine. He's not been... It's not like I've watched him and thought, oh my, how's he not played this whole time? So he probably knows as well that he's not really quite at it himself. I understand why the questions were being asked and we all want to see him. And it was frustrating when Willian was playing over him because you think, why are we not giving this time to the future of Arsenal? But I also think it's kind of much ado about nothing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. It just... What I do know is that Martinelli should be playing more, in my honest opinion. He's at the age now where we're seeing other people that are similar ages doing their thing. But then again, with his injury, depending on how serious it could become, if he didn't rest it enough or if he didn't recover well enough, I don't know the ins and outs of it. We'll know more in the summer, because it's a good question from Bish Bosh, because we'll know in the summer whether Martinelli's happy or not, because a player of that quality and that ilk will be demanding more game time, will be demanded to start more games. He's looking around and seeing others do it at his age. So, and he's at a club that are mid-table. So I think we'll know more in the summer, but it's hard to tell right now. It's hard.
But I agree with what you're saying. So, but do you think he's unhappy right now? Like I think there's a difference for me between unhappy and just a bit frustrated. Like I want to be playing more, but I understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's unhappy, but I'd say he's definitely frustrated. Any
Yeah,
hungry player, like you can see the sort of player and character he is on the pitch. It's not only the
yeah,
quality; he shows the right character, and I think that's that sort of character. Naturally, if he isn't getting enough game time, he's definitely going to be frustrated. And it just depends how Arteta has he spoken to him, has he softened the blow of not playing enough this season with a promise next season and stuff like that. So who knows? But right now, I think it's not unhappiness, more frustration. But we've got a couple of big games left, and who knows? He might be integral to that.
yeah. I think so. With some of the game time he's had in the last couple home games, I think he does intend to use Martinelli a little bit. Dale
Yeah.
asks, well, not asks, more says, I've started to lose patience with Arteta press conferences just as much as I am with our consistency. I know they are his bosses. He's referring to the Cronkies here, but he is too persistent in his back for me. Great show, lads. Thanks, Dale. I'm going to pop up another comment while we just tackle that one because I know it was something Turkish we touched on it in the warm up. I think it's fair to say we were pretty reserved in our criticism when we did that show, but we were critical nonetheless. It wasn't a great look for Arteta. I thought some of the quotes that came out.
Yeah, some of the quotes Arteta came out with today. I'm looking at him like a puppet now. I'll be honest with you. I don't really give people chances at Arsenal Football Club anymore. Especially aside from the players you'd always have to give a couple of seasons to really understand if they're going to be worthwhile or not. But people from manager upwards, I really don't want to hear no bullshit anymore. Like I've heard enough of it over the last 15 years. I have no patience for no more. And Arteta, I can't lie, crossed that line today. A lot of his
Really?
comments, a lot of his comments for me were just unnecessary, regardless of him being an employee, regardless of, Kroenke paying him. It was unnecessary. It was definitely manufactured. I will say that. And he was probably not forced into it, but he was asked to do it. And I guess it's hard to say no, but at the same time, when you do that, just know that you've fallen in line and you've put your face to it. You've put your neck on the line. A lot of the time, Wenger did that throughout the years. And that's where we lost our patience. So for someone like Arteta to do it, you ain't got that name and legacy Wenger did, mate. So even if you slip up once, to me, I'm very disappointed. Very, because he makes himself a target here, because in a week, we could be talking about Arteta again nonstop. The videos all over YouTube and the tweets all over Twitter and Instagram and all that might be about Arteta now moving
Yeah.
forward because of silly comments like that. Don't deflect anything, but at the same time, an employee. Listen, it's a hard one to really pin down on. But what I do know is he's just come across like a puppet.
Yeah, I got to say I didn't like it. I just thought as much as I want an owner who represents the fans, I want a manager who does too, and that's kind of what I was hoping Arteta would be. And so when I saw him, well, if you get to know them, you might feel. I'm like, you think we've not tried? Like that is exactly what we've wanted as a fan base, and really, that's what you're throwing at us here. I thought it was really quite misjudged from Arteta. I think normally does quite well. I thought the way he almost embraced the Arsenal fans protesting was like a sign that he was a part of us, and I was like, well, that's great. And then I don't know, it felt like a bit of a step backwards for me, but I don't know. I also got to remember that on the spot, you're doing these press conferences. It is difficult, I suppose. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's like, look, there's a lot of hate towards them. If you got to know them, you'd realize that, maybe they're incompetent, but they're not bad people, and that might be completely reasonable. But that's kind of not what we want to hear or need to hear because it's kind of irrelevant. You might tell me Josh is like the loveliest, most generous bloke on the planet, calls him every day and helps him with his personal problems, but I don't care. I care about him as a runner of a football club.
Exactly. Who is Arteta to tell us that if we knew him? They should have got to know us. That's what they should have done. Got to know us. It's not for us to get to know them. The fuck is this?
Yeah,
You bought into us. The club is us. It's meant to be us. You
yeah,
bought into us. You didn't care about us until now. Now the uproar. Now you want to say we want to engage. We're 100% committed. All of that nonsense. Where was that before? In all honesty, it looks like they're shitting themselves. I'll be honest. Obviously, it's a different sort of shitting themselves to what the average Joe like us might, because they're billionaires. But at the end of
yeah.
the day, they come out with 3 statements in a week. They didn't do 3 statements in 14 years. But let's hope we can continue. I don't know, squeezing the life out of it
Yeah.
of them, I guess.
Well, I think Daniel Ek and the Invincibles are definitely doing their bit to keep this running, and I
Yeah,
love that, to be honest.
yeah, and we've got to
So
support them.
yeah, I agree. Super chat from Imran asking, what do we think of Pepe behind the striker? And this is something Cecil wanted to see a while back. He said you can have our creators out wide and Smith and Saka. And when the striker drops, Pepe runs in behind. He did it at Lille. Do you know the funny thing about Pepe? I remember when we signed him, I was just so excited. I was like, yes, we're signing Pepe, brilliant. To be honest, I wanted Zaha. But the fact that we were signing a right winger who had clearly a great reputation across Europe, I was like, great. And we beat some pretty big clubs to get him. So I was like, tick, 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 fine, I'm happy. I remember one of my friends who watches quite a lot of French football, he said, I'm not sure Pepe's going to suit you guys. He's more of a counter-attack player. He's more of a runner. Like, he's not
Yeah.
going to break a team down. And actually, I think that's kind of true of what we've seen of Pepe recently, is that he is one who likes to attack space. So maybe a role behind the striker would suit him a little bit better. I personally wouldn't, because of the players we've got available in that 10 role. But he probably would do all right there.
It depends. It depends moving forward who we go with up top as well. Like it's going to have to be a player that complements well. I assume Odegaard goes back to where where he came from, Real Madrid. But with Pepe, I feel like he can play across the front three. He just needs to just build off of the performances he's
Oh, I
had this
agree.
season. Like he hasn't been amazing, but he's been better. He needs to get better. I believe he can. So it's time to do it. The likelihood of us having as bad a season next season as we have this season is unlikely, but it can happen. But at the same time, Pepe needs to be part of us heading back up the table. He can be part of us heading back up the table, but it all depends somewhere how we build around the players we have that are actually producing something at the club.
Yeah, fair enough. Go on and take a few sorry, a few comments back to back here. Pierce says Pepe out, in my opinion, lads. He's had his chance. Look, I actually think we've seen the best of Pepe the last couple months. Sorry, not the best of Pepe, but a much better Pepe and a more consistent Pepe the last few months. So hopefully he's kind of on the up. Nathan says, big up Turkish, the leader of the revolution.
Not even, man, not even.
Which
My
I
guy,
did
though,
enjoy that.
love Nathan.
Jude says, Arteta is an employee. How will you expect him to criticize his employer? He said as well that they should communicate with fans. Yeah, maybe fair. And then a super chat here from Captain Tiger, which I did enjoy. Gerard Munro is their main player. They do not play attacking football. I can guarantee that if they score, it will be from our own doing. I agree with all that. And Gerard Monroe is a real talent, I've got to say.
Legend.
I don't think Cess will ever hear the end of this, to be fair. All right, I'll bring up some more comments, guys. Get your questions, anything more chat about. We'll be here for another 10 minutes or so. I want to move the conversation not so much on the game, but on Unai Emery himself. And the reason being that we touched on the Forever Arsenal podcast. I think our previews, we've spoken a lot about what Arsenal are going to do, how important this is for Arsenal and Arteta. But Unai Emery, he had a year and a half at the club. I think I wouldn't say he ever really took us forward. I think he kind of kept us where we were. And let's face it, when Wenger left, we still had some good players and we still played some attacking football. We still scored lots of goals. Not as well as we had been the years before, but we still did that to a degree. I think he did okay that first season. He did fine. Not enough for me to be particularly worried. Particularly happy, nor particularly worried going the other way. But then I think, the months that led to his sacking were a complete disaster, quite frankly. Like, I mean, I think it was so bad. How
Mhm.
do you kind of reflect on that period of time, comparing it to now? Were we harsh on him? Were we not? You know, is Arteta even doing any better now than what we got from Emery back then? Kind of what are your thoughts? And let us know in the comments.
Listen, I think in general, the media and the way a lot of fans were towards him was harsh. By the end of his tenure at Arsenal, even I said, it's time to move on. But that was because Pochettino was available and I saw something there. But in essence, I knew that whatever manager we had, and we can see it now, Emery or Arteta, we're not going to achieve what we want with the squad we have. Wenger stopped doing it. Wenger dropped out of top four 2 years in a row. So why did we think that Emery or Arteta would come and do it without focusing on the people above?
Yeah.
Obviously, Wenger leaving was a breath of fresh air for the club because it became stale. But in essence, it became stale from not only Wenger, but the people above too. They only changed the face of it. So Emery, for me, he deserves some of the criticism because at times he was too much of a tinker man. At times he changed things up too much. But also at the same time, him overachieving in his first 8 months and being 1 point off top four and within 3 games of it and in the Europa League final, that was overachieving.
Do you
That
think?
was yeah, that was his downfall. He wanted Partey, he got Torreira. He wanted Zaha, he got Pepe. He wanted Maguire, he got Luiz, and so on. He didn't get the players he wanted for me to be able to say Unai Emery
It's very
was.
true.
Yeah, you've got to give him what he wants for us to judge him accurately. If you're not giving him what he wants and he's speaking out about it, then he's not happy. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like we was harsh on him. We failed to open our eyes to the bigger evil, the bigger problem. Then we have finally now. But again, it was of Kroenke's own doing that we did. So Unai Emery and Mikel Arteta, they're just pawns in this game for them.
Really. Yeah. Do you? I agree with what you're saying. I do. And I do think he was shafted by the owners and the people upstairs. And I think Arteta suffered from that as well. He did also play Torreira number 10. He
Mhm.
did also do things that I thought were like tactically. I thought giving Granit Xhaka the captain's armband, even though the players supposedly voted for it. I think it's going to sound really harsh because I love our players, but I don't really necessarily always trust the players who are not performing to suddenly choose our captain. Like I want
Yeah.
a manager who's got a strong head, a strong mindset, and goes, no, 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 this is what I want and need from a captain. And maybe he thought Jack was that, but listen,
Can I
Jack is, yeah, go on.
So I just want to say, yeah, there was another player he said, Fabinho as well. Before Liverpool signed him, he wanted to sign him. And when you look at the profile of Fabinho, Thomas Partey, Maguire, potential captains. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
he
it's a good
he
point.
identified that and tried to bring that in. But if you bring instead, even a Zaha has experience, maybe not a potential captain, but much more experience. If you then give him a Pepe and a Torreira and a Guendouzi and a Luiz, okay, Luiz becomes a potential captain because of experience, but essentially you're just throwing an armband at an ex Chelsea player that no one really wants to see him with the armband at Arsenal. So I
Yeah,
feel like even with his highlighted signings, he tried to bring that in, and he was left with pretty much no. He tried to do 5 captains until we was just like, listen, we want a fucking captain. This 5 captains nonsense is madness. But in
yeah,
essence, if you can't pick a captain, I guess it makes more sense to say, listen, let's pick 5, and one of you just prove yourselves to be the one that can
yeah,
actually be the one, and none of them did.
yeah, yeah. No, that's it. Like I think there was just a string of things that he got wrong. Like, so let's go to the summer, right? He didn't get the players he wanted, fine. But he still got good players. He still got Pepe. He still got Kieran Tierney. Louise was joined us off the back of beating us in the Europa League final and getting into the top four. He was a top 4 player when we signed him. And actually, to be fair, of all the signings, I actually think he's been a decent one. For 6 mil or whatever, he's been fine. I know it's not our standards, but still. I do look back at Emery and I think with the players he had, it wasn't so much that he was underachieving positionally, because as you said, there's loads of factors. Did he really have a good enough squad and all that? But it was just absolute chaos football, wasn't it? It was just absolutely all over the place. I was at the Emirates for the 3-2 win against Villa. We went 1-0 down. I think we went 1-0 down and then a man down. Maitland-Niles got sent off. We pulled it back somehow, Pepe penalty. They went 2-1 up through Wesley. And then we scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. But it was frantic stuff. I mean, it was carnage. Like the game was just complete chaos. And I remember leaving thinking, the fans got us through that game. The Emirates was bouncing that day, and we kind of willed the players and the team on. It was just, I never thought, like, what's the plan? What's the structure? What is going on here? He always left me feeling like that.
He did. You're right. He did. But then, you know what? I look at the Europa League final. I don't know why this came into mind, but it's just like he played pretty much the team that a lot of people would want him to play in that Europa League final when we look back at it.
Yeah, no, he did.
And we got smashed 4-1, And you know what? Emery received a lot of criticism, but let's remember Mesut Ozil, the way he handled himself that game, and then when he was being subbed and whatnot.
Right.
A new manager comes in, and 6 months later, we're crying for Mesut Ozil to be back in the side. As a lot of the fan base, where is he? What's happened to him? This and that. Wenger talks on TalkSport saying he should be playing. With the players, we've tended to forget that they've let us down before. The manager's always going to. This is why I'm worried with this whole Arteta out, and Arteta's job is on the line with this Europa League. Yes, it is, but are we fans going to forget that these players are at fault too when a new manager comes in? And without a doubt, a new manager is going to come in and say, I need to analyze the players we got before I know what to do. Right. Yeah. So we're going to have to wait for that turnaround again. In that turnaround, we lose patience because the manager's playing players we don't want him to play. We turn on the manager, players get away with it again. But we can't forget.
This is exactly why I'm not at a stage where I want to move on from this manager, because for me, it would be another step in the direction of letting these players get away with it, letting the current group get away with it. And it's so frustrating. We'd be in a top 6 fight if we did the basics right in our last 2 home games. We probably wouldn't get top 6. I get all the trolls in the comments. Yeah, I get it. We probably wouldn't have. We've not been good this season, but at least we'd be somewhat in contention. And let's face it, top 6 is probably where this squad belongs. You could even argue we'd be lucky to get into the top 6 with this squad. So let's face it, like it was only a week ago that some of the, let's say, expected positions and aims for Arsenal were still achievable, and then just complete, forgive my language, brain fuckery just, has cost us that opportunity. And I'm at a point where I'd rather keep sticking with a manager and get him the players he wants and get him the right players and move on than necessarily give him another chance. Because we saw that when Spurs faced a little bit of adversity for the first time under Pochettino, they decided to stick with the players and twist with the manager. And they thought, let's bring in a proven winner, like a guaranteed guy. And Pochettino was in bad form back then. Like it was bad. I think people actually forget how bad it got for Spurs and Poch around then. I think they were kind of top of the second half of the table. It wasn't good at all. They let him go. Mourinho came in and got nothing more.
Sounds like you're describing us now. Sorry, I had to laugh.
I know, right? And guess what? They got in Mourinho, the proven guy, the guy who's been there and done it, to get more out of this team. And you could argue they've regressed. So I bet you Spurs fans and even Daniel Levy are looking at Pochettino in a Champions League semi-final tonight and going, why? How have we not got Poch as our manager? Because we chose to get rid of him. Not like he walked away for another opportunity, And I'm not saying Arteta's in the league of Pochettino. Of course not. I've got nothing to suggest he would be. But I'm just saying it's that whole, like, we can't always think that a manager's necessarily going to get more. Sometimes the tools just aren't there.
It has to be the right man available. Like I said, with Emery, in the end, I said, listen, Emery needs to go because Pochettino became available. And like I said, I saw something there. Right now, if you ask me about Arteta and who I'd want next, I don't really know, because there's no chance of a Simeone, who would be on the top of my list if possible. So I don't know. I don't like hearing Ten Hag's talking to Tottenham, because Ten Hag would potentially be a future one. I don't like that because him, Mark Overmars, that whole, I would have loved if anyone to come in after Ten Hag and Mark Overmars and get Edu out of here as well. I would have loved for them both to come in. I don't like that Tottenham talk, but essentially, I don't know if Ten Hag can do it in this league. I don't know if he's capable of taking on the Arsenal job as it is with the owners we have and pleasing us. I think very few managers could. The best managers wouldn't take it, and the managers that want to prove themselves would get hung out to dry. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Sean here says, look at Chelsea with Tuchel. A new manager can change everything. Sean, you're absolutely spot on. A new manager can. But that Chelsea side is a very, very, very expensively assembled Chelsea side. Okay. They just come off the back of a summer of signing some of the best players in the Bundesliga, some of the best players in Holland. Like, it's a seriously invested in team. So I think I'd be disappointed if Tuchel wasn't doing the job he was doing with the players he's managed before, the rep he's had from Dortmund and PSG, and the players he's got. That's not to say, though, that he's not turned things around and doing a good job. So I hear what you're saying. But I don't think you can... Listen, I don't think Tuchel would have come to Arsenal and done that. I think he would have improved us. I think he'd have maybe gone to 3 at the back, organised us, made us more solid, found a way to just get a few more goals and kind of dig out wins in games. I agree with that. But I don't think he'd be doing what he's done with this Chelsea team, quite frankly, because they had the players. We've got a few more super chats, and I'll pull them up. And guys, any last comments, bring them in. We'll go for another 5 minutes or so, because I really do want to end this actually on just a positive look to this, because I think it's you
got the wrong man here for that.
I know, sorry, I know. Where's Cecil? I might give him a ring. No, because look, I think when we do these comments, we're pulling up super chats and everything. It's very easy to get dragged back into the, oh my God, we are struggling this season. Who should be our next manager, or comparing it to Emery and all this stuff, right? And I think it's important to acknowledge these things. If you guys want to chat about it, that's what we're here for, is to have your say, and we'll chat about those things. However, we aren't in a European semi-final tomorrow night. We are in a Europa League semi-final tomorrow night. We have got I want to call it a favourable tie, a tie in which we are the favourites. We should go through. And then we're one game, if we do go through, we're one game away from, Champions League football. And in the midst of everything that's gone on, I know we touched this at the beginning of this show, but that's pretty incredible. And it's something to be excited about, isn't it, Turkish? No.
Champions League money, I'll be excited about, because it's going to expose the Kroenkes even more. Not that they need any more right now. Champions League football, James, do you know when the first ever appearance for me was on AFTV?
Go on.
Bayern Munich away, 5-1.
Oh, great. So you've been positive from day one, have you?
No, I just don't want to get back in a competition where we're going to get mauled in. That's what I don't want. That to me is not exciting, but I do understand that winning a trophy, of course, that is what football is about. It's just with Arsenal, it's such a double-edged sword right now. I don't know whether to come or go with my opinion on this Europa League, and whether winning it puts us in a better place, or going out now puts us in a better place long term. I don't even know. Or me,
I get that.
Yeah, I understand though. I understand. Obviously, being in the Champions League, like we said at the beginning, the music, the aura, all of that, lovely. But listen, I've been on away trips, embarrassed left, right, and center in the last few years of the Champions League. So yeah, less of that moving forward.
But look, we are in a favourable position going into tomorrow night, and listen, despite everything we've said, all negativity, we're going into it with, if Lacazette is fit, the most informed Lacazette we've seen in a long time. Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe and Odegaard, 3 players I love. Martinelli at that, 4 really exciting kind of behind the striker players I absolutely love. And I think they're the future of our club. I want to sign Odegaard permanently, and I want to build off them. I want to build off Gabriel and Tierney. I think Partey's quality. I think there's some really good stuff in there. And I think we should be excited about a potential future around them if we build it right. And as you said, and at the very worst, at least this club has assets again, which we've not had in a long time. But those players, I genuinely get excited about watching Arsenal, because I get to watch those players again. And that's really nice. I can't remember the last time I was genuinely just excited to watch certain players at Arsenal. I mean, I remember loving watching Wilshere, Fabregas, Nasri, Van Persie. A lot of them left us and snaked us for other clubs, but I loved watching them. You know, Santi Cazorla. Oh, what a player. And it feels like I've got players I can hang my hat on again in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, a lot of them did turn their back on us and snake us, but a lot of them were right.
Turkish, give me something here.
Nah, I can't do it yet, James. I can't lie to you. I can't do it yet. I can't do it yet. But you know what? I'll start. You know what? Let's end with this super chat here, because this one here, yeah, it is a happy note for me. Because am I concerned if Ek buys Arsenal a 2 billion loan and all of this stuff? Listen, all I can see right now is Kroenke in trouble. That's all I'm focused on. That's what I'm focused on. I hope Arsenal win tomorrow, but I hope Kroenke sells tomorrow even more than that. That's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. Well, at least I got something happy.
That's the happiest you're gonna get me, James. Trust me. Mention Arteta again. Mention Wenger. Mention something about this Europa League. You might bring it back down. Let's just end with a Kroenke out, sell Arsenal, Ek in, and who knows if Ek lets us down in 5 years, Ek out too. We move on to the next battle. But for now, Kroenke out, sell Arsenal.
I listed all these players, all these exciting players, and you went, yeah.
Yeah, because we lost them exciting players because of this owner. You're getting me angry again, James. I told you, let's end it on a good note. I'm smiling.
I get that. Just a quick super chat from Sam T says, if we continue to use Jack as left back, needs to play Saka left wing to offer us a width option. I do agree with that. Lubert says, one more thing, guys. Martinelli doesn't get the playing time, then I'm sorry he will leave us. And then another one. Let's end on this one. Monroe and Chuck so wavy. That's it.
Listen,
let's end on that. That's class. Are you worried about Monroe and Chuck so wavy?
Go watch the warm up.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, that's brilliant. All right. Thank you for ending it on a happy note, guys. That was my favorite super chat of the night. Any last words, Turkish?
Kroenke out, sell Arsenal.
As always. Guys, thanks so much for joining. Do smash a like, subscribe if you haven't. Go tune into the warm-up and all the other stuff.
Sorry, James.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing. Go sign the 50+1 petition. Go sign that. I forgot to say it before, but go sign that. As much as us fans can put pressure, the government can do it too. So we can't rely on them, but at least have them talking about it. There's about 20k signatures left to 100k. Go and sign the 50+1 petition. If you don't know where it is, go on my Twitter, Turkish LDN. I retweeted it like 2-3 days ago. Go and sign it. All you need is a UK postcode or something like that. I think it's just a UK postcode. Please support where you can, people. Sorry, James, I had to get that in.
That's a bloody good point. Yeah, go do that. Go check out Turkish Twitter to see that. I've signed that myself as well. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, all that, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for all sorts of coverage. I believe we've got a live show before the build-up. I'm not going to say just because I'm not 100% sure it's definitely happening, but we've got something quite funny to bring before that game, maybe to ease the nerves. We then have the build-up. Obviously, starting 11, watch along, aftermath, all that. Fan cams coming out. Go check out all the other content we've got. Go check out the warm up and check out Cecil's Danger Man. That was a highlight of the day for me. And yeah, thanks Turkish for joining me. Thanks everyone for tuning in, your super chats, and we'll see you soon.